say hi, Craig.
Yeah, I guess.
Without him being here, that's so sad.
I mean, it's not
hi,
the first
Craig,
time.
that's not actually here.
It's not the first time we've started without him actually here.
True.
I know, but it just feels awkward, you know? It's a little sad.
It's like we fired him. I was thinking for like next season, because this is a season, we have to have a different intro person.
Okay.
We just found a different name.
Yeah, just a different name. Greg.
Like Daryl.
Greg.
From La La Land. Greg.
Oh, that fits.
Hey, Greg. He's moving on to podcasts recording. Other than
him.
like international business. I don't know what he does in La La Land.
Boring business.
Anything that's not a jazz musician, pianist person.
Yep. That's it.
But yeah, welcome to another episode of the Silver Hour Film Club. This one took a while to come out because our movies this week were long movies.
Yeah, they are. You're
we
welcome.
needed time to watch all of them. But Emma, yeah, you want to introduce what our movies were?
Yeah. So it was the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Legend tells of a ring created by an ancient evil that gave its wearer the power to enslave the world. Believed lost for centuries, it has now been found.
There's something down there.
You know, don't really need to say much about it. Everyone pretty much knows what they are. Don't really need to, go into much detail. But yeah, so I chose The Lord of the Rings because I really love The Lord of the Rings. I've loved them ever since I was a child, and I was in the mood. And Parvati had never seen them, so it was really cool because that's exciting for a first time watch. But yeah, so what'd you guys think?
Should I go before Parv gives her first impressions of Lord of the Rings?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, because JP, you already seen it, so.
Yeah, but it's kind of like The Matrix, where it's I know I've seen it. I remember times watching it, but it's I don't specifically remember when I first watched the movie. Mm-hmm. But unlike The Matrix, though, I didn't really have a big connection to Lord of the Rings. I always thought the movies were epic in all that sense, the Return of the King, especially that last battle. I would always remember that as just peak fantasy battles and
True.
sword medieval combat. That would be it to me, even though that's definitely not medieval combat.
Well, whatever.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so they weren't really movies I would go back to rewatch all the time because there was never that connection, and the length is the movies are just too intimidating for me just to revisit. So it's not something I would watch the whole thing in full. If I wanted to see a scene, I just YouTube it. But yeah, so it's been a while since I've watched all three of them in a row. And for this watch, I have to clarify that I watched the special edition or the extended edition of just The Two Towers and the theatrical version of Fellowship and Return of the King. So it's that middle section was just way more detailed than my two bookmarks.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
How much longer was it?
It's
It's a bit.
It's 40 minutes longer.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow.
I've watched the extended editions before. This time around, I only watched the theatrical versions, but I
Okay.
have seen the extended.
Did you
That
watch
was
the
the time.
theatrical part? Do you know
I
what
don't
editions you watched?
know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay. We'll see. If I bring up a scene and you're I don't remember, it's probably
In the
yeah.
extended, yeah. that
You're
makes
telling
sense.
me? Oh my god! I wonder what I missed then.
Yeah, no, this is the thing about the
There's a
extended
lot.
editions. Yeah, there are scenes
There
that
is
are
so much.
really important that were kind of cut out,
Yeah.
but it makes sense kind of. At the same
It
time, it's
does.
it would have been nice to see it. But
Yeah. I mean, my stepdad, he's read all the books, and when we were
wow.
watching them together, he went through a bunch of different things that actually weren't even put into the movies too, which is really interesting to hear about. There was this one scene in the first book that's actually really important, and it was left out, which is interesting. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's another week of like we're talking about an adaptation again.
Yeah.
This time from book to movies, unlike last week's The Last Airbender, which is such a quality change. It was so refreshing to see.
Oh yes. Oh, I was
Great
so happy.
See a
fantasy.
good adaptation. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the first time I've actually seen the extended edition for any of the films. So it was interesting, yeah. And I googled what the missing scenes were in Fellowship and Return of the King. So that's just putting my watch into context. But
Okay.
yeah, I generally the whole trilogy I really liked it. I was afraid I was gonna be like bored because like I knew the beats, but it felt really nice revisiting everything. There are a few things I want to talk about, but I will be more specific about that when we go into movies. But just like off the bat, really enjoyed coming back, and some parts actually impressed me more than I thought they would. So it was refreshing, to say the least. Yeah, cool.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, well, it was my first time seeing them, and I don't know, like, okay, Lord of the Rings was always this thing that was always put, like, on a back burner for me, where I didn't really care about it too much, because I felt like I had seen what I felt was important to me in terms of, like, sci-fi, like, I don't know, stuff like that I thought I had seen the essentials, which is, like, basically just Harry Potter and, like, Percy Jackson and all those things, and so I never thought, like, Lord of the Rings was gonna be for me, really, and I always heard, like, oh, it's so good, and like people would always tell me that I would really enjoy it. And there was a point in high school when we used to have like spirit weeks, and one of our themes was The Hobbit, but I didn't understand any of it. I just kind of helped out with it, and I was like, whatever. And so like I didn't really care about it too much, but people would always tell me they thought I would like it, and so like I'm glad that I had this excuse to actually finally watch them, because I don't know why I never saw them beforehand now, because I love them so much.
Yay!
And they're just so, like, I think especially with movies like this, I always expect them by default to be kind of bad in the case of, like, I think that they're going to leave out a lot of plot points that, like, connect things together, like how a lot of book adaptations to movies do, where they leave out a lot of essential pieces of the plot, in my opinion, or essential things that help like characterize people too. But I think because of its length, and also just because of like how well it's written, it's just so well done that I feel so connected to everyone and the story, and I want to root for the characters, and I'm never bored within the 4 hours of like each of them too, which is just incredible to me, because I feel like I've never seen a movie that was 4 hours long that didn't feel boring at some point. So yeah,
I think
I'm
we're
so
we're
impressed.
overreaching here by calling them each 4 hours long. They're not actually 4 hours. Not
Yeah, no,
that
the
they're
first
like
two of them
one's
two
short.
of them are 3
They're like 3
and
hours.
45 minutes.
4 hours is a long film. That's the
3
That's
extended.
the
45
extended
minutes.
edition.
That's the extended
Oh my
edition.
goodness.
So did you watch
Yeah.
the extended edition? If you watched the 3 hour and
Oh.
45-minute long film,
Yeah, so okay, the ones I watched, the first two were 3 hours and 45 minutes, and the second one was 4
Oh.
hours and 11 minutes.
You watched
That's
the
the
extended,
extended
edition
editions.
of all of them. That's
Sweet,
funny.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Interesting.
see, that's cool. Oh wow. Oh my god. Wow. Most people don't jump in with the extended editions, but you know.
I didn't know
Yes.
it was. That's the only copy I found.
That's
awesome, though.
refreshing
That's
to know.
exciting. That's
Because
cool.
like I can see,
Yeah.
like imagine you're going to a theater and the movie you're about to watch is 3 hours and 45 minutes with no intermission. That would be insane. But
That's
um,
not bad.
with no intermission, I would
No,
need to pee
that's pretty-
by hour
yeah.
2.
I mean, yeah, I
'Cause
guess so.
I felt like Endgame took forever. Like I thought it was so long,
I don't remember
but
seeing that one
that
in
was a
theaters.
different experience.
Endgame? How long's Endgame? That's like 3 hours.
Mhm.
Okay.
3 hours something, maybe. I don't
I
know.
think
I
that was
haven't
the
seen it in a
longest movie
while.
I had seen in theaters ever, I think.
I saw the Hobbit movies were long, right?
The Hobbit movies were long.
One of them was like really long, and I saw that one in theaters, and I remember seeing that one in theaters.
Wait,
I
like
feel
longer than 4 hours?
no way.
Okay.
Right? Okay. I don't know. We can talk about the Hobbit movies actually at the end of this.
At the end, yeah.
Probably should watch the Hobbit movie after
No.
this.
No.
You- Yes.
No?
Yes, you should totally
What
watch
do
the
you
Hobbit
mean no?
movies.
I'm definitely going to, but why not no? Why
You
no?
know, I mean, I
Let's
guess
get
you
to that
can.
discussion later. Let's get to that.
Okay.
We gotta talk about Lord of the Rings. first.
Yeah, so let's just jump in to the first one. We're
Fellowship
just swimming
of the
into.
Ring.
Oh, look, we're in the Shire. Oh, wow.
What? No,
Look
the
at-
world has changed. I
The
can
world
feel it
has
in the water.
changed. Oh. Okay, so what do you guys think about the first one? I mean, I know Parvati, you haven't seen it, and JJ, you have seen it, but
Yeah.
You know.
So, I know a lot of people love. I mean, a lot of people love all the movies, but I feel like a lot of people say Fellowship is their favorite.
yeah.
No, it was definitely my least favorite of the 3 films. Going back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm probably just gonna spit a bunch of hot takes now, but I didn't really like the Hobbits.
What? You
Yeah,
don't
they're-
like Sam?
No, see, I love Samwise Gamgee. Samwise Gamgee's
Okay.
the best Hobbit.
Okay.
But
yeah,
like,
no,
So
he's the
sweet.
best. He's the best.
I feel like all of that for me comes in Return of the King, like the Hobbit payoff, but like just the Hobbit's world and all that. But I get the point. Like Tolkien wanted this, like it's like this is the children's part of this like epic fantasy world, and like these are like the smallest characters, and the whole theme is like these characters are the ones making a difference. And I'm okay with Sam and Frodo, but like Merry and Pippin.
Oh, I
gosh.
love them. I'm so
You didn't like Merry and
insulted.
Pippin?
No, because they feel so. The tone. I did not expect the tone of Fellowship to be as whimsical as it was. I guess I was expecting like the epic fantasy that I always just imagined Lord of the Rings to be. So when Fellowship was kind of like this nice little journey through like the Shire, and it's like, oh, it's all cute. They're like shooting fireworks in the sky. I was kind of out of it because I just wanted the plot to start. Because I'm like, I know Bilbo has the ring. I'm like, okay, is he gonna like, when is he gonna go crazy and Gandalf's gonna confront him? I was waiting for all that to start. But yeah, Peter Jackson's history as like a horror director really jumped out to me in Fellowship, and for some reason that just didn't really vibe with me because I just didn't feel like that style was right. So I was kind of worried for the rest of the trilogy, but because especially like scenes where like the ring wraiths, I don't know how to say the proper name, but Nazgul, is that something like that? When they came into the town and started like stabbing the pillows, it was shot like a horror movie. It was shot like something like Evil Dead. Like it reminded me of like something out of Sam Raimi. And like although it was cool, it just didn't feel right to me. It was just like that tone was off for me. And like the whole movie kind of felt that way at parts. I just contradicted myself by saying the whole movie at parts. But I mean parts of the movie
Yeah.
felt kind of amateurish. It's so weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's just the style didn't work at points for me. And I feel like that was refined for the later films. I feel like they were learning as they went along. Because I know they shot these essentially back to back to back. So it was interesting seeing the evolution of like these filmmakers, like right off the bat, like the next movie, it's like, okay, we're improving. The CGI is also getting better. A lot of the CGI is kind of off for some of these, but also some of them are amazing and still hold up. But yeah, there isn't like a sequence in Fellowship that I'm like, yes, let me go back to watch it. When we go through scene by scene, maybe I'll like say like, oh yeah, I really like that. But I don't know if there's like anything in Fellowship that hyped me up. I know I'm probably gonna get killed now by like all the Lord of the Rings fans in the world, but that's just what I thought. But
True.
when we get to the other two, I'll be singing more praises. But yeah, Fellowship was a little shaky for me, but I still loved it though because of course the characters in the world in itself is so strong and I can carry like a conflicting style for me. So that's just my opinion out there on that.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
Well, so I love Fellowship. I love all of them though. I rate them all 5 stars, like on Letterboxd and just in real life. I really love them. Fellowship for me is the one that's just like the best rewatch. You know, it's just like you throw it on, you have a good time. It's not like the other ones, they emotionally hurt me, but this one is like, oh yeah, I'm just watching the Fellowship. I'm having a great time. I think I like how it's so fantasy-like compared to the other ones. I think.
I mean,
it's
they're all
cool.
fantasy-like. It's a different kind of
Well,
fantasy.
no, but it
for me.
just feels so. Yeah, but it feels the most like whimsical out of all of them, and I think I love the stark contrast of Fellowship and Return of the King. I really love how completely different in tones they are, because it shows how much, like, loss of innocence and just, like, corruption and just sadness has gone through all of the characters. And I think it really is cool. Like, imagine watching Return of the King and then watching Fellowship afterwards. That would be so crazy. Because you'd be like, oh, they were so... Oh, they had so many hopes. So many hopes, so many dreams. And it all went down. But, you know, I love Fellowship. I think also a lot of it has to do with nostalgia, probably, I will admit. Because I grew up watching them. But I really like Fellowship. I think it's so good at establishing all the characters right off the bat, I think. And just, I love how straightforward it feels. I feel like the other ones are a little bit more complicated, which is good, not a bad thing. But I think it's a great way to move into the next two films, I think. But there's one thing I will say. I hate the crappy slow-mo that they just keep doing in the first movie, where it's like 4 frames per second. Oh god. It's so bad.
I know, I feel like that's the Peter Jackson horror style. Like, that's...
But the thing is, and I thought they stopped doing it in the next 2 movies, but they still do it every once in a while, and it really bothers me. The 4 frames per second slow-mo is just atrocious.
Do you have a specific example from Fellowship? I'm trying to recall.
Yes,
like,
so in the very first few minutes when the ring is going ting, ting, ting down the rock, or when the people on the horses, I can't remember their names, but whenever they show up and it's like...
Yeah, the ring wraiths,
choppy,
essentially. Yeah.
It's, that choppy slow-mo is so bad. And they do it in the next 2 movies as well, but very rarely, like only once or twice, which is good. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with that, but they use it so much in the first one. Ooh, I also think the first one, for like cinematography wise, I think the land, it's very beautiful. I think they show the land.
Yeah, it's a New Zealand tourist
New
attraction,
Zealand.
basically. Yeah.
It's still
So
there
beautiful.
too, right?
The
Yeah.
Shire's still there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I
but
wanna
even
go.
just like the land, like when they're in the mountains and stuff, and like this beautiful sunsets that they have in it is so pretty. It's just a really beautiful movie. The other ones, I think, they are pretty, but the first one stands out a little bit more to me for that. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I gotta say.
Yeah, I felt like similarly to Emma, where I feel the Fellowship, I think, was definitely, like, I think my favoritism in terms of like which ones I like the most, it goes like Fellowship, Two Towers, and then Return of the King. I think also because Fellowship is more of like a tone of movie that I personally enjoy too, where it's like I feel like it has a good mix of like a little bit of like horror elements, but also it's very like fun and whimsical, and it makes me more easily attached to the characters too, and I feel more like close to them, versus it just being like a very serious, like, this is a world and this is our mission and this is what we have to do. I despise when movies just like try to stick to that and they don't give any sort of like, I don't know, they don't give anything that's relatable, at least. And to me, the tone was very relatable, or at least in the sense where I felt like they actually had normal personalities that weren't just like, you can only get this if you're in this fantasy world. They have similar personalities like regular humans do, which I really enjoyed. So I personally really liked the little like whimsical bits that they would weave here and there, because I thought it was a nice break from the seriousness of what their mission was, because that was pretty clear to me from the start, how like intense just from the start of like how intense Bilbo acts when he's with the ring and things too. You know for sure that this is a big deal. Like, you need to, this is not something that you can mess with, and something that really, really needs to be taken care of, because if not, then like it's just gonna keep going into the wrong hands. So for me, the whimsical bits were they helped a lot to just make it feel lighter and make me feel more like I was actually watching a fellowship of people versus just like a group that is obligated to go on this mission because half of them don't know the direction to Mordor. And Yeah, but I really enjoyed that, and I agree with Emma saying that it's a really good introduction to everybody and all of the lands that they're from in this fantasy world as well. And I thought that was just really cool because from this movie I could tell you like, oh, Elrond is where the elves live and like all these things, versus a lot of fantasy worlds I feel very confused thinking
But
about them
Elrond
too.
is not where the elves live. Unless I'm wrong and now I'm embarrassing
No, I
myself.
don't-
Elrond is
Wait,
Hugo
where's
Weaving,
Elrond?
right? Elrond's the main elf dude, right?
Yeah,
Exact.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, wait, what is
God,
the...
if there's like a Tolkien nerd listening to this, I apologize if you
Hi.
so
cringe.
sorry.
We're gonna get stuff
Who
wrong,
is-
but Elrond is Hugo
Oh.
Weaving, the dad
Where
elf.
do they live then?
Riverdale, right? Not
Riv-
is that the name?
Riverdale?
Riverdale's the name
Wait.
of the river something. It's Rivendell.
Rivendell. Oh my goodness. So I could tell you that Rivendell is where the elves live.
Nice.
Nice,
Yes.
nice.
But I don't know, it just like I feel so familiarized with I feel so personally attached to everything in the movie because of like the weavings of all of these different elements that don't just stay attached to it being like a really serious mission in itself. And I don't know, I just really love all the characters, and it made me very happy to watch. Like my heart was very warm after I watched this too. And another thing too is I
Yes.
forgot, but I used to listen to the score for Lord of the Rings like on my own, like doing homework and things too. So like all of it was really familiar and like coming back to me as well too, and it just felt so warm, and like I already had like some kind of attachment to it in the first place, but just finally seeing all of it play out and like knowing exactly what happened was really cool. So
Yes. Oh, I love that. I'm so glad you liked them. I'm just so happy.
Yeah.
Because I also, like, the first one is just, it's like a warm and fuzzy feeling. But then it has, like, those intense moments, which I think is why it leads so well into the next few,
Yeah.
the next two ones. And I love the ending of the first one. Because I think there's that tone that you can tell something's gonna, like, the next two movies are not gonna be easy for them, and you know that's gonna happen. But in the moment, it's sweet, and, you know, Frodo and Sam can have their little moment.
I think the ending to Fellowship is amazing. I believe the books don't actually end at that moment. I think the Fellowship ends at like, does the Fellowship end at Helm's Deep? Is that where the first book ends?
I'm not quite sure because I haven't read them, but
Okay, because I think that's not where, see, like the Tolkien people who could be
Yeah.
listening to this are freaking out, but I'm sorry. But yeah, so I think Fellowship has such a great ending.
yeah.
And it's because I think that's when the movie's like at its most serious, essentially. And
Yeah. No, but it's not though, because Sam almost drowns, and that's funny.
is that funny?
That is hilarious, because I like to picture, what if that's where it ended? He just dies, and then you're like, oh.
I don't
'Cause I
think
was
that's what
watching it-
the intention of the filmmakers to.
No, but it's supposed to be like, oh, Sam, what do you do? What? Like, it's sweet. I think it's
Yeah, it is a sweet moment, but it's
And
also
it's
a very
silly.
serious moment because Frodo's trying to just go off by himself, and then his friend is like begging him, like, "I will assist you. I've made a promise to Gandalf." The Mines of Moria sequence is also amazing. Like the ending in that are like my favorite parts of the movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the ending to Fellowship, it's kind of like an Empire Strikes Back kind of ending. It's interesting for like the first movie in a trilogy to have the darkest ending in a way. Like it should be like the second film, right? To like the 3-act structure, but the way the Fellowship just breaks up at the end of the film is so good, and it sets the tone
Yeah.
for the rest of the trilogy. So yeah, I think it sets up everything so well, and that's like essentially my favorite part of the film. I have a
Best
question for
ending.
Parvati. When you saw Ned Stark appear, did you know he was gonna die in this movie?
Oh,
I did not know he was gonna die. I also
how'd you
thought,
feel?
okay, I was waiting for the meme moment when he's like, one
You must
cannot
not simply walk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Woo!
like that part, and I was
That
also really
sequence is the
waiting
best.
for. It really is. I was also really waiting for Gandalf to finally say, "You shall not pass," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I was like, "Why?" Like it's a cool moment, but I was also like, "Why is this the moment that people pick out the most?" But yeah,
Because it's amazing.
Because Fellowship is the most silly film, but
Yeah.
But I think that's good because it makes it when, especially like if you were doing a marathon of it, I feel like it's the perfect way to start. Because
Yeah,
what
it
if it
is.
started? What if it started not silly? Like, what if they took out all of those moments? It wouldn't feel the same, and it would. I think it wouldn't be good.
But technically,
I
it doesn't
think-
start off silly. It starts with an epic battle against Sauron's army, where his
Well,
hand
it's
gets
just-
cut off
Well,
by a
that's
broken
just
sword.
that's like narration at the beginning. That doesn't count.
And also,
Yeah.
I think
But-
for me too, it's like a reason why I don't like diving into new sci-fi series specifically too is because I feel like they really try to push you into like really wanting to get into the story too. But when they include parts that are funny and silly too, I feel like they're actually trying to entertain me, not just have me
Yeah.
be attached to this world too, like not just forcing me into really prioritizing whatever the characters are saying too. So I find it really valuable to have that be like as a stepping stone, like into the like dipping into the pool so that you can actually get into everything else. So you feel like you want to root for the characters, not just because they have this like one dimension of like I have the sense of duty to get this done. So yeah, and back to your Ned Stark question. I really thought he was gonna survive because like I had seen him in the memes, so I thought he was gonna like continue.
But you didn't see any memes past this movie, so.
Yeah.
I did not. I also thought that meme was gonna come like way later, like in the second movie or something too, but then it didn't. And I also was very shocked that Gandalf dies in this one too. And I was like, "Hello, are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And I was
Oh,
like,
that's
that was
awesome.
another thing that I was like, "Why is he such a huge character if he only survives in this one movie?"
That's
Because he's so
exciting.
great,
You had
though.
that thought. That's so cool.
Huh?
Yeah, I was.
No,
was.
but he is great.
I
Yeah.
feel like he's the best character in this film, in particular. Yeah,
Oh.
we can have debates about this, but no, because I feel like
I like him.
Gandalf
but I
is
just-
the only one at the beginning who like he's the one I wrote. He's like awesome. It's Gandalf. Like
Yeah, that's true. And he's just when he shows up at Hobbiton, and he's just like, and then Frodo jumps on him. I love that scene. That's so
I
cute.
know he's
and
so
then,
sweet. I don't know why I assumed Gandalf to be this really serious old wizard
No,
who's like,
he's silly.
you know, but he's
He's
so
a
silly
silly
and he's so
boy.
sweet. I loved it.
He's a silly.
I'd rather
silly
meet
boy.
Gandalf than Dumbledore, to be honest.
Facts. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would be best friends with Gandalf. Dumbledore? No.
I'm also pretty sure Gandalf is like so much older than Dumbledore.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
I think so.
Gandalf's like 2,000 years old or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
That's come on.
Wait, is this before he like lives the like how many lifetimes after?
Yeah, before like when he shows up at the beginning of
Okay,
Fellowship,
okay.
he's like 2,000 years old.
I love
Jesus.
Gandalf. He would be such a great person to have, and just in your life, just there. Cause he's so he's sassy too. Like in the later ones, he's really sassy. And
he's really
I really
sassy.
love that. I just really love that because he doesn't hold back. He's very honest, and he'll tell you when you're doing something stupid. And I respect that.
Yeah, I feel like in the second two films, in the next two films, like he is like hell bent on his goal to like
Yeah.
Yeah.
help everyone because he's
Yeah.
now like the White essentially. We'll go more into that I think when we talk about Two Towers. But in Fellowship, yeah, he seems like just the introduction of his character. It's like you can tell he's hiding like he like he has power. Like you can tell this guy is crazy, strong, and like so awesome. But he's just so like his whimsicalness comes out, especially when he enters Bag End. He's
Yeah.
like whacking his head
Oh, I love
against
it.
everything.
Yeah.
And
So cute.
yeah, the whole Shire sequence. I know, like I said, I wanted it to go through, but Gandalf was like my favorite part watching that sequence because it was nice to see him interact with everyone, and it's because he is like the outsider visiting this community.
Yeah. And they all hate him except for the kids.
Because he's
Which
using
I
his
think is funny.
fireworks. I love it when
know.
like he passes by the kids and like it shoots out of his cart all over.
I know, it's so cute. But
Yeah, but also like he does like launch the story with when Bilbo like he notices Bilbo like disappearing. He's like, oh, what does he have? He has a powerful ring here. Yeah, so it was just nice to see, and that whole Shire thing. And I do agree that it is a great place to start the world because you don't want to jump right into the
Yeah.
epic fantasy of everything, and it's good to start off small, especially when you're introducing these characters. It's just the style that I didn't really like the filmmaking aspects of it. I thought
Okay.
were still lacking in that first film. It just didn't. I just expected more, you know, and I guess that's my fault, but that's just how it turned out. So, yeah.
That's okay. That's all good. You know. But
Actually, I do have stuff to say about the memes too. I feel like it's the most memeable because it is
Yeah,
the most
it is.
silly.
That's true.
But it's just whenever a meme line showed up, it was amazing. Like,
it's so good. But
the-
also, oh, go ahead.
oh, okay. I think his name is Isildur. When he says no to throwing the ring initially in Mount Doom, that's a meme. So like I was dying when he said that because it's no, and then also Elrond saying I was there. I love that meme so much. It's like I know I was there, and they cut to the battle. It's great.
It's so
Also, one
good.
more thing on the Council of Elrond when everyone shows up.
Oh,
so,
yeah. It's a
Sean
great
Bean.
scene.
Oh, that's why I thought the land was called Elrond, because I assumed it was like the council
Yeah.
of the world. Okay, there we go. There's a reason why.
Yeah. So, have you guys seen The Martian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean Bean's in The Martian, Boromir,
Yeah.
and they have a meeting in that movie, and they call it Elrond, and he's in that scene, which is so funny. So he's in two Elrond
That's
councils,
God.
essentially,
Oh my
which
gosh!
is really
Wow.
funny. And he's the one who
That's
explains
hilarious.
it in The Martian too.
Yeah, he
they're
is.
Like, they're like, why is this called Elrond? And he's like,
I
because it's a
totally-
secret meeting, and it's like they knew what
I
they were
totally
doing.
did not realize that was Sean Bean in The Martian.
Oh my god. Wait, I'm gonna
I
understand all the
didn't
Lord of
realize
the
that
Rings
was him.
references
Interesting.
that people make in pop culture now. I'm so
That's true.
excited. This is so exciting.
Yeah. That is exciting. It's so good. That like one song on YouTube, "We're taking the hobbits to Isengard." The second movie is when they say all of that, and it's great. 'Cause there's like, it's a great song, and I still know it by heart, even though it's repeating the same thing over and over again. But there's some alterations in there, you know. It's great. It's a good time. But yeah. So, what were your favorite moments of the first one? Because I have a couple that I love, but I want to hear yours first.
Do you have one, Parvati, or?
Well, I really liked Rivendell. Like, it was so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I just loved every minute that they were there, and I wanted them to stay. Like, every time I think about Lord of the Rings, I always think, like, oh, I want to live in Rivendell. Like, I want to be an elf.
to be an elf.
Because it's just so pretty, and just, like, I don't know, the whole vibe is just so peaceful and beautiful, and their people seem very interesting, too. I think just, like, I would love to watch a movie about Rivendell, to be honest. It just seems like something so interesting to me. But, yeah. I think them just being there, too. I think in the beginning, when they were all there, like, I think Frodo wakes up, and it all seems like a dream sequence at first, which I was very confused about, because the whole place was just very beautiful and dreamlike and like glowing, and I assumed that it was in a dream, but then it just kept going, and I was like, oh, I guess this is real now. So it was just interesting because I don't know, I just wanted to dive deeper into like this world too, and like figure out what they all exactly do and how they all got there and stuff too. Like I genuinely think like origin stories about all of those things would be really interesting to me too, of like all of the lands. Yeah, but I think that was my favorite part to watch.
I bet the books are filled with so much of all of that, which is why I would love to read them at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. I even own the books, so like there's nothing holding me back from doing that. I just haven't done it yet. But yeah, no, there's just so much. It's so good. I personally love, honestly, any scene with Aragorn and Arwen.
I was
I
gonna
love
bring up
them.
Arwen's introduction.
I
That's
love
great.
her
Yeah.
so much. As a kid, I was like, I want to be her. She's so cool. She's just so calm, and then just bam, water powers. Hello. And I just love her character. I love them. Oh my god. She just gave up immortality for that man, and that is so cool. What a powerful relationship. But I love them both. They're probably my favorite characters. So that's why I will say any scene with them in it, probably my favorite scene. Just gonna be honest. But But yeah.
That's actually
really-
surprisingly not a lot, though. It's really just a couple
Yeah, in
times
the
in that middle
first one,
section.
it is, yeah. I like also, I mean, it's later on, and it's not that significant, but when Aragorn, like, resists the ring at the end, I think that's a really, really cool scene. I love that one, because he's just like, no. And I when I saw that the first time, I was so shocked, because I was like, ugh, he's a human. Of course he's gonna be like, whoa. Because I was like, humans are weak.
And that's
As I am.
essentially the humans are selfish.
Humans are
Galadriel
selfish,
at the beginning
weak,
is like
and
powers
horrible.
all they desire.
Truth. No, he
Dude,
just
but-
he just wants to be with his elf girlfriend and just
Exactly.
That's all
I mean,
he
who
wants.
wouldn't want to be with their elf girlfriend?
I know. It's just, yeah. I love his character. I love her so much as well. She's so powerful, and yeah, definitely my faves.
Aragorn's lines to Frodo when they separate, it's like, I would have followed you to the end, is really great. Especially contrasting
Yeah.
with how Boromir was acting like 5 minutes before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Shows
that.
how amazing
exactly.
Aragorn is.
That
And-
sequence is so it's very I loved when you were saying they split apart. I think that scene is just so good from all angles. I think it's great. I even like when Merry and Pippin like sacrifice themselves.
Yeah, that's my
I think
favorite
that's
Merry and
so
Pippin
cool,
moment. That's a
'cause
great
It
moment.
shows that everyone in the team is willing to sacrifice anything for Frodo to get the ring to Mordor. I think that's so cool because, and even later on, there's amazing moments where they also sacrifice so much. But that's like the first moment I feel when you're sitting there and you go, oh, everyone is willing to die, to be kidnapped, to whatever, to make this happen. And I think it's really cool. And it makes their characters more, like, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like those moments also, like, especially in the ending when they all have to split up too, like, just I remember thinking, like, why is Boromir so emotional about Merry and Pippin? Because I think he tries to defend them in the end from something. And I was like, why is he so emotional about them? Because I didn't realize that they had already, like, become so attached to each other together in the Fellowship too. And so it just, like, showed me, like, wow, they actually did, like, because I felt like a lot of times I feel like when you're watching a group of people, you kind of want to predict who's going to be, like, the bad one, like the bad apple, who's going to try to corrupt them, or who is the corrupt one. And so, like, I feel like I always do that. But in the end, they all kind of, like, had that attachment to each other to the point where you feel like there really wasn't one that could have corrupted them in that way. So they all, like, they all, like, have a similar sense of, like, this is what's important, this is what we need to focus on. Even though they also have their individual intentions, which I thought was, like, a cool balance that they showed, especially, like, as a first movie, as, like, an introduction for all of us to them.
Yeah, and I think that, like, Boromir's ending is it's really great. I mean, it's really hard to watch, like, especially when he's getting shot at with all of the arrows, with the many arrows,
Sean
not
Bean
just
dying.
one.
Sean Bean dies in so much.
I know.
Yeah,
But it's
They don't
so,
like to keep it for anything.
But yeah, it makes you feel, it's the first, like, real, like, bloodshed of the story, so it hits very hard because I think...
I mean, Gandalf technically dies.
Well, yeah.
That's not
Or
really
that.
bloodshed, though.
Yeah, no, it you don't see it, you know? There's a difference, but you watch him die. You watch Boromir
Yeah,
get
you watch
shot
Boromir
at
die.
multiple times. I remember every time that I watch it, for some reason, I picture it, like, cutting away when he gets shot at, but no, they show it. They show every single arrow, and I think that's so cool. And it's the first time that you feel the stakes rising, and that's why I think the ending is just so great. And I love that Boromir, in the end, he sacrificed himself, because I mean, I can't imagine what he must have felt when he flipped out earlier, because it wasn't technically, like, his fault, really. It was, like, the ring corrupting his mind, but
Also, like,
and he
the
just was-
pressures on him that they reveal in the later movies that make you look back in that moment. It's like why he acted that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
I know, it's so cool. It's a great way to end the film, and his character is way more fascinating than you think. Also, like you were saying, in the later films you find out more and more about him, which is funny because you would think they kind of just like drop him and then they mention him occasionally, like, oh, Boromir or something. But no, his character is really important. He's kind of still there in the next two films, even though he's dead.
I think that's what I really like about this series too, is that I feel like none of the characters you meet are ever, like, they don't only exist in their being, because they always come back later in some way or another. Like, there's always some kind of return on everything and everyone in this series, which I really enjoy, because I feel like oftentimes a lot of series they like introduce something but they don't really follow through in the end, and you kind of wonder why that was even a thing that you had to interact with in the first place. So I think I really like that, because it makes it feel very whole in itself too. So you feel that there aren't really like all these weird like ends that haven't been met. So it gives you a sense of finality, but you can also keep going if you need to. But it's very satisfying in the end, because you know like what's going on with everyone, why they did these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, do you guys want to move on to?
Well, I want to shout out 3 scenes.
Oh,
in
heck
Fellowship.
yeah, let's go.
So we were talking about the end, so there's not much else to say about that other than how it sets up the next film so great. But there's that one shot, I love it, because like it's like it's a tracking shot. It like pans from, I think, Aragorn all the way to Boromir.
Yeah.
And like I think they had the camera up on a wire. That's how they were able to just move it across the land, and it's just following the orcs.
Yeah.
It's such a great moment. And to Boromir's character, like, he does have a connection with the hobbits, like when he's like training them at that one scene. I love that. It's a wholesome scene when he's like they're sword fighting and it's like, okay, 1, 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when he gets shot and like Aragorn comes to him, the first thing he says is like, you got to save Merry and Pippin. Like, his concern is about them, not him being mortally wounded in like 3 different ways. So yeah, I think Boromir is a fantastic character, and that was such a great character moment. Him dying is such a great character moment. But yeah, just 2 scenes that stick out to me. The escape from the Mines of Moria. The first battle with the cave troll feels kind of sloppy to me. So I didn't really like that section. I liked it when they were like ready to like break through the doors, and there's that one shot of them being prepared. But yeah, so I was like, the Mines of Moria is kind of letting me down. But the escape when the Balrog shows up is absolutely amazing. The way the caverns are like falling, and there's that one sequence when they're on the stairs and they have to like lean forward.
It's so good. Yeah. I was watching that with my friend and I was like, why don't they just jump? I mean, they could totally make it with the momentum. But then they like started moving forward, and I was like, oh, I forgot they did that.
I was watching it with my whole family, and we were all like, we were watching it like it was a sport, and we were like, why don't they just go. Like, it was like a whole sport.
Like, Frodo could probably jump, but I don't think Aragorn could have done it. But then they like leaned forward, and I went, oh wow, they're so much smarter than I am. I would have totally died if that was me. And my friend was like, yes, you would have died. You would have died if that was you.
Oh my god. Yeah, all of us were just screaming at the TV because we were like, why are they being so stupid and not jumping when they can?
I also love in that scene the like room with a bunch of columns. That's so pretty. Like, really, really cool to look at. Love that.
Yeah.
Even though it's simple. I mean, it's not like...
I don't know. The CGI was kind of off for me.
Cool.
But it looked pretty.
Really?
The CGI was kind of off for me. I don't know. I was watching it on a 2003 DVD, so like... Maybe if I watched it in a more high definition.
Well, I was watching it on a Blu-ray DVD, so...
Okay.
No, I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah, that whole sequence is great, culminating with Gandalf's sacrifice, quote unquote. So that's an action scene I like to revisit. But also just like the prettiest shot, one of the prettiest shots in the whole trilogy, but my favorite in this film is when they're on their little boats and then they see the statues of the guys. Sorry, I don't know the names of it.
So beautiful.
But that shot is so
beautiful.
good.
Chills.
Instantly honestly, chills.
It's
yeah,
so
great
hot
shot.
right now, but I got chills thinking about it. But every time I watch it, I feel like my breath is being taken away because of how beautiful that is. I want to go there, but it's not.
Yeah, it's also a part that like stabbed me back in the film because like Galadriel's like elves in the woods. I don't know. That's just the pace for me. I felt it there, but like it's a great
interesting.
moment to. Yeah, I don't know. Like it feels like nothing happens, even though like a lot happens in terms of character and like she gives them items, but it's kind of like very questy video game. Like I don't know, but all right. Yeah, I think that's it for
All right.
Fellowship, which
Let's-
was a lot. We
Yeah, I
should just
know.
like breeze
Oh,
through
no.
these.
But the next two are just so okay. Whatever. Let's jump into Two Towers.
Two Towers.
I love Two Towers. I love them all. I don't know why I'm gonna keep saying I love it, but I think Two Towers is probably one of the best of all of them. I think.
Of the three, it's probably
Yeah.
one of the best.
Yeah, definitely.
We should
Well,
rank them. Like, do we all have a specific ranking for them? Because I think I have.
I already said my ranking. Mine
Yeah, I
is,
know.
It's like 1, 2, 3.
I have some
suppose.
ties.
Oh.
You
Some
can.
ties.
This is a
How
before
many
trilogy
ties
cop
can
out
you
again.
have?
You can't
Yeah,
tie
it
them,
is.
Emma.
It is. No, I have ties because okay. Here's the thing. I think that the Two Towers has the best battle sequence. I love.
That-
I
I-
love it. I think it's my favorite battle in all of the movies. I think it's so cool. There's so much. Also get the personalities of the characters in it, which I like a lot. But I don't know. I definitely feel like that battle is my favorite. But I love a lot more. Anyway, go ahead. You're looking at me like you're disgusted with my choice.
No, because okay, Helm's Deep is Helm's Deep. It's so iconic.
Yeah.
But like after rewatching them, I was way more impressed with Minas Tirith in Return of the King. I honestly was so hyped for that one over Helm's Deep, even though Helm's Deep is so iconic.
But
And like
yeah.
everyone cites Helm's Deep because it is such a great battle
Yeah,
that they
Helm's Deep is
still
so
managed to
good.
weave you through. But I just feel like more happens in Minas Tirith that I like than Helm's Deep, even though Helm's Deep is excellent. Gandalf kind of saving the day at the end, kind of ex machina, but that's just like fantasy. Like
No,
that
I like
happens
that.
throughout.
I
Looking
really
to the-
like it.
I like it too, but it just feels like, oh, that's the end, because it feels like, you know, the Riders of Rohan's numbers were like increased by like 1 billion after we last saw them with.
A billion.
Because when they first run into them, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but then when they show up with Gandalf, it's like 1 billion dudes. So,
Yeah.
and then the orcs all just run into the trees and dies. But I should stop. Two Towers is amazing, and I thought it would have been
Yeah.
my favorite. Honestly, I thought like, oh, this is gonna be my favorite one because I always hear Two Towers is the best.
Yeah.
That didn't turn out to be the case after Return of the King, because Return of the King surprised me. But Two Towers is amazing. Each
Yeah.
path that each of the characters are on are all so amazing and excellent, except for Merry and Pippin's with the Ents. I'm sorry. That really
I do
dragged
agree
the
with
whole
that.
thing
No.
down. Until the payoff, the attack at Isengard. Is that what it is? That where
Yeah.
Saruman is?
Yeah.
At? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's such a
Isengard.
great sequence, and it's all worth it for that. But honestly, the lead up to that moment, it's like the other paths are so interesting. Like Frodo and Sam meeting Gollum, who's not in the first film, which I think is a big detriment to the first film.
What? No.
Okay, dude, Gollum is like
He is.
the best
He's
Lord
kind
of
of
the
in the
Rings
first
character.
one.
He is also. Yeah, you're right.
He's like an
this-
unlocked
yeah.
character in the first one.
The CGI on him in that first one, in that one shot, is really bad. And
Oh, I didn't even really think about it.
But that's why he's unlocked. You can't
How did he
really
get out of
see
there?
him.
Because like he was behind the group, and then all the bridges collapsed. Whatever. Gollum finds a
Yeah.
way.
Gollum can probably like climb like upside down on walls.
That's
or something.
true,
I
that's
have
true,
no idea what
that's
he
true.
does, but he seems like he can
my
do
God.
stuff.
Yeah.
Such
So
nimble fingers.
Why didn't his voice change
sorry.
when you see him as a human? I'm so confused. Was his voice already like that?
that's
Yeah,
just
his voice
Andy
was like that.
Serkis's
Yeah,
Hobbit
that's-
voice.
Yeah,
I know, but
let him be. Let him be. Okay.
Anyways, yeah, Gollum's one of my favorite performances in the whole
Yeah.
trilogy, and
It's pretty
like,
good.
yeah.
his introduction in Two Towers is great. So like all these stories to me were so interesting, except for Merry and Pippin.
Okay,
which,
I will admit, when they're with the tree, it is a little bit dull. When it cuts to them, because it's just the same conversation over and over again. But also the payoff of getting the trees in the mix, come on. It's so cool. They're big trees.
the tree that gets lit on fire
And then
the
sticks his
river.
head in the water.
That's a great
Beautiful.
moment. Yeah. No, I
Iconic.
totally agree. That sequence is
Wonderful.
awesome, and it completely like helps a lot. But I'm just like of the path. It's like it's like a sore thumb to me, and it it kind of like makes the Two
I
Towers drop in my rankings of the films.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be negative
like
about the Two
when-
Towers. I loved it a lot.
Yeah, I will admit, I think that when they're with the tree guy and they're trying to get him to join, that's probably the most, like, dull moment. Because you know that they're probably going to join. So it kind of feels
Treebeard.
redundant that we get probably, I think, 3 scenes of them trying to convince him to join
Yeah.
them. Maybe
And
2 was
he eventually
fine.
just says no. So it's just like so disappointing for that
I
one.
know, but it's cool.
These trees talk for like 10 billion years, don't realize all their friends are getting slaughtered. Oh, and
Yeah.
Fellowship, they like show the same tree getting cut down like 7 times.
Yeah.
That kind of
Ew.
annoyed me. It was just like, I know this is the same tree showing from different angles, but they try to like pass it off as different trees. I appreciate the attempts at resourcefulness, but like it was just too obvious for me. I'm seeing the same tree get cut down again and again. But yeah, I like the payoff with the trees, but that is my least favorite part of Two Towers.
I feel like
Yeah, it just
most
kind of
people
it
probably
felt like
agree.
a lot. It felt like a lot of fluff with Merry and Pippin because I assumed they were gonna do like more with. Okay, it just felt like they were falling more into what their roles were, kind of in the Shire of just like relaxing and doing nothing, kind of, and not really working or
Yeah.
doing anything. So I was like, no, I want them to grow in some way, but they were kind of just like smoking and drinking water that made them grow, and. Yeah, that was kind of it. I wanted it to do more for their characters, at least to create some sense of like duty or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
but I think we
I-
can all credit the scene for like Gollum for that one scene where it's like between Gollum and Smeagol, and they're kind of like
Having a
debating
conversation.
with each other. Oh my god, I love that scene so much. I like definitely one of the best things to rewatch like as a YouTube scene, I think, for me. In this movie
Yeah.
and the
I really love it.
Return of the King.
Yeah, I think I always forget how interesting Gollum is. And then he's there and my eyes are glued to his character and I can't like look away or stop like paying attention because he's so interesting. And I was watching it with someone who hasn't seen it before also, and it was funny. I mean, they obviously know that Gollum's like not chill and that he's gonna be a bad guy. but
Gollum, not chill.
not chill, not a chill dude. But she kept going, "Aw, he's so cute."
Yeah, there's a moment where he's so cute, where he's like on the
There's
little
many
like
moments.
river.
No, many moments.
Many
There's
moments.
multiple
Yeah.
moments where he's adorable. Because my friend kept going, "Oh, he's so adorable" every time.
Because that's a Smeagol, and that's
Yeah,
like
it
a
is
great
Smeagol.
character distinction, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's cool. His character's so fascinating.
Yeah. I
yeah,
really
that's-
like I just love the duality of it too. Just like
the
him,
duality
just,
of man.
Haha.
Whoa.
Yeah, just like him like debating with himself is so interesting to me because I know that there's people who actually do have 2 personalities. Like they like similar things happen as well too. So I think it's just so interesting to see like 2 very completely different personalities on 2 very different spectrums of like good and bad, like trying to figure out what's a good in between that both of them can agree on, which is his conscious being okay with doing certain things towards whatever major goal he has, which is to get the ring back, but to also keep peace with the hobbits and everything too. So I think just that whole the whole discussion is laid out in front of you of his internal conflict as a being as well too, which is just so cool to see in the way that they cut it together as well too. It's just so interesting. I love it.
The
Oh.
Frodo and
Sorry.
Sam's journey is interesting to
Yeah.
me, and the Two Towers. Their relationship with Gollum was really the most interesting part of
Yeah.
their plot in this movie for me, and how like Sam obviously doesn't trust him, but like Frodo sees the connection because he's like, oh, the ring made him that, and I now have this burden.
Yeah.
So there's that interesting character dynamic, and that's why I was so invested in their story. But when they're captured by Faramir and they're taken to the river town,
Yeah. I love
Um,
Faramir, but okay.
yeah, Faramir is great.
Okay, I thought you were gonna diss Faramir, and I was really not ready for that. 'Cause I was
No,
like,
I'm-
I love him.
Okay, we don't have time to mention every like amazing thing. So I love the
Okay.
Two Towers. So if I don't mention something, assume that I love it, because I think I'm only gonna mention stuff I don't like actually. So I don't like where their story ended up because it felt like such a setback. Like they were taken to this river town and then they had this like fight with the Nazgul who are now on like dragons essentially. It just seemed kind of like, oh, I was loving the Gollum interactions with them so much and now they're being taken off. It's kind of like a down point for me in terms of their story, but yeah, this is something I didn't like, but I still love their whole journey up to that point because of Gollum. Gollum really is a whole injection of interest with these two hobbits for me.
I think it's cool because in the scenes with Gollum, Sam and Frodo are like manifestations of what's going on inside the audience too. Because you're like seeing Gollum and you're like, no, you obviously can't trust him. I mean, like, look at him, come on. And obviously, like, he has something going on inside his brain that's messed up because of the ring. He's been corrupted. But then you see him do like these other things and you feel bad for him because you understand that it's not really his fault what happened to him. It's all because of the ring, like, corrupting his brain. So you feel, like, guilty, so then you're on, like, the Frodo side, where you're kind of like, oh, I mean, he's helping them get to where they need to go, so, I mean, that's helpful. You can't really trust him, but at least you can feel bad for him and use him. Oh, wow. Oh, God. That's horrible. That's a really dark thought. But, but yeah, I think that's really cool, and I really appreciated that a lot this time around when I watched it. I think it is a solid part of the Two Towers.
The union of the Two Towers. The whole plot with Aragorn, Gimli,
I
and
love
eventually
him.
Gandalf.
Gimli is my man.
Okay, can we just shout out Gimli and Legolas's rivalry right now? Is so iconic.
Them counting
how
points
many
whenever
people
they
that
go
kill.
into battle. That's perfect.
So good.
It's
Their
great.
relationship, 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, it is.
It's the comic relief you need. It is and even in the next film, like in the Return of the King, it's the comic relief that you need. It's not in your face, but it's still there. Like, you can hear them counting in the background, really, like faint in the background. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, their whole story, like the three guys, and then
Yes.
eventually Gandalf, from the start, from the end of Fellowship, when they're like, let's go hunting for some orcs, which is just like a hell yeah moment.
Yeah,
And then
let's go.
following it throughout, all the way to the end, to the Return of the King, that was like my favorite. Because like, that's the one I was most interested in, even though
Same.
Frodo and Sam's is the most important, obviously. But like, I loved watching them, and there's like, it's so, every step they take on, even like freeing Theoden from Wormtongue when they enter, and then Gandalf's like, you wouldn't separate an old man from his walking stick. That whole sequence, and they're just punching dudes as they're walking up to him because they don't have any weapons. And then the way Wormtongue is like influencing the king, it just looks really interesting and cool.
Yeah.
Great moments. I don't have anything to say other than praise for that. It's so
I
good.
agree. I think as a kid, my favorite like storylines were with Sam and Frodo, but now and like in my recent watches, it's definitely just Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and Gandalf. I love them. I mean, it's just so good. They're great. There's nothing really to say. They're just amazing characters, and I love Aragorn so much.
I feel like they all do a really good job of balancing each other out. Like, Gandalf is like the wise one. Aragorn is the one that's like, you know, he's destined for something bigger, and so he's the one that's like driving the group. Legolas is like the calm, collected, cool one, and then Gimli's like the particularly anxious one that ends up being really hilarious. So their group is so full of, like, you end up feeling very satisfied with how they end up taking on all of everything that comes in their paths, which I think is really cool. And yeah, how'd you guys feel about like Eowyn, which is Theoden's daughter?
I don't think Emma will like that because that messes up her
That
OTT
bitch
of.
needs to get away. I'm joking. I think she's cool later on, but as a kid, that like little baby Emma was very upset.
No, because they're
Oh.
kind of like setting that up as a
But
romance
I-
because it's like
but
Arwen's
now-
going away, so it's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
This
But
is
now
what-
when I watch it, it's funny because I think from the beginning he never ever felt anything towards her. Like,
Damn.
at all.
Yeah,
Because he's
same.
like, girl, I have a wife, not a wife, I have a elf girlfriend. I'm not gonna downgrade to a human. What are you thinking? Like, what?
Yeah, for me it was like I was kind of confused the whole time about the relationship too because she saw the necklace that he was wearing too, so I assumed that she understood that he had like.
No, but
a
she asked him
lady.
about it, and then I think he says like she's like going away or something. She's returning to her homeland.
Yeah.
So I feel
Yeah.
like that
that
makes her
doesn't-
think like, oh, the door is open for me
Ah.
to.
I don't.
But
think
he
so.
would never. He would
Yeah.
never.
No,
he
yeah,
was
I was
too
gonna be-
whipped by Arwen, okay? He would never do that.
I was gonna be really upset if like that ended up being a thing where like Eowyn and him end up together, and I was like that would be a really gross like cheap cop out that I would really hate if that actually
Yeah.
happened. But
That's the Zutara of Lord of the
I
Rings
think-
for me.
oh my god.
I think
yeah.
that the moment that he like I think the moment where he tells her like kind of indirectly that he's like not interested in Return of the King is one of my favorite moments. Like when I was watching it with my family, all of us when he said that were like, "Yeah, he doesn't want you. Move on." My stepdad was like, "Yeah, go good riddance."
Oh
Bye.
god.
Because we're all
so
we
funny.
love Arwen and we love Aragorn, and nothing can get in between that. Okay? Nothing.
I think-
but I like her like story.
No, she's a
in
great
Return of the
character
King.
though. Eowyn,
Yeah,
she's a great
I
character.
used to hate her just because of the Aragorn thing, but if you strip that away, her character is such a badass. I really
and
like
her relationship with like her father.
Yeah, and
Is that her
like,
father? Or is
I
it her
think that's
uncle?
really cool.
I think that's her dad.
Okay, that whole like it's so interesting to see him like get corrupted and then her like brother dies, I think, or yeah, right, because that's her
Yeah.
dad, and so that must
Yeah.
okay. So like yeah, so
Yeah.
and her eventual like becoming of the leader because of everything
Yeah.
that happens. It's
I
a
love
great
it.
character. Each
Oh.
character has their arc and story, and that's what
Exactly.
makes it so good.
I think
Yeah.
the only thing that bothered me about Eowyn though was that I felt like a lot of the time that you do see her on screen, she's very focused on Aragorn, or she's very focused on,
I
or
agree.
like later
Yeah.
on she becomes focused on Faramir? Question mark.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Yeah.
Boromir's brother.
Yeah. And so like I felt kind of like I really wanted to get to know the Eowyn that was really about being a leader and like being independent in that way. But I felt like a lot of her screen time was about like romantic interest towards certain characters too. And I felt really like I really wanted to know her differently. I wanted her dominating personality trait to be the fact that she wants to take control, the fact that she wants to like even the playing field between men and women in her society as well too. Like I really wanted I wanted her to be that character, but instead she stuck out to me as that girl who was really just had like these dove eyes for all these men, and I
Yeah.
was like, no, that's not what I want to see her as. And in the
Yeah.
end, I think when she's I guess we're like mushing the two movies together, but in the end when she's like finally fighting and knowing like doing things and defying her father by doing things that she would want to do in the case that she was a man. Like when she's finally doing those things, I'm all for it. I love it.
Yeah,
But I still wish
exactly.
that she hadn't like ended up being like, oh, but this man is back. Like another man is in my life again, so this is like
Yeah.
another point of focus too.
I agree.
yeah.
I think definitely in Return of the King, she's way more interesting, and she's kind of not just used as a plot device in a way, because I feel like in Two Towers, she's just there to be that, like, there for Aragorn. That's it. Like, that's really her character is pretty much that. But still, yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Because even in Return of the King, I totally see that. But,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, we can
Yeah.
move on to Return of the King right now, unless you guys have anything else to shout out about Two Towers.
But the battle is so cool.
Helm's Deep.
Also,
Do we just want to talk about Helm's Deep?
Yeah, let's talk about Helm's Deep because it's so cool. And also, Legolas sliding down the stairs on a shield. People hate on that. I think it's fun. People,
Dude, elves are just like that, man. Elves are just built
Exactly.
different. Like
they are
you can't,
just better than us in every possible way, okay? And we just have to accept that.
like even in like the Hobbit trilogy, the elves are the best part of that.
They are the best. They're great. They're amazing. But the Battle of Helm's Deep is just it blows my mind every time. I remember watching it as a kid for the first time and just being so shocked the whole time, just sitting there on the edge of my seat. It was crazy because I'd never seen a battle like that in a film ever, and it was just incredible. And I love it so much. So good. That's my YouTube watch, even though it's a long, long battle.
That's a
but
long
still,
YouTube watch.
That's mine.
No, but like
it's
the problem,
so good.
it gets cut up because it cuts to the other stories, and then sometimes it just
Yeah.
cuts to freaking Treebeard over here.
I like the tree people when they're helping in the Isengard. I think that's cool.
Oh yeah, then that's like it's like all these battles at once.
Yeah,
It's great.
that's really cool. I think the structure of the second one is good, except for when it cuts to the tree people when they're just talking. But when they're actually in action, that ending is just so good. It's so yes, I love it. Definitely good. But I mean, I guess we don't have to really talk about Helm's Deep except for the fact that it's probably
awesome.
one of the greatest battles in film history. It's great.
Yeah.
So good.
I have one. Well, I talked about Gandalf showing up at the end. I think that's still awesome, obviously, because I like
Yeah.
how he uses the sun. Like it literally
He's
like
so cool.
blinds the orcs. It makes sense. That's cool. There's
hair
one
looks so
Wilhelm
soft.
scream
Oh
in
yeah.
Helm's Deep. I
There's
didn't like that
5.
usage.
There's 5 in Return of the King.
There are 5. There's like a bunch in Return of the King, but I
Yeah.
feel like the one in Helm's Deep just felt out of place.
It was really obvious.
because
yeah,
you
I
use
know.
Wilhelm for comedic effect. This was not a funny moment to me. Like Helm's Deep is
yeah, I
Helm's
guess you're
Deep.
right because it's really. Oh,
Um,
it's such a good battle. I'm just thinking
is it-
about it
no,
now. It's so good.
Aragorn leading everyone
Oh my
by
God,
shouting Elvish
Aragorn. So
is so
cool.
great. Even when like the wall blows up, he's still composed. He's like, everyone get set behind me, and then the arrows, and he's ordering them to shoot.
I have a question. So,
Yes.
I watch these movies on illegal sites, so I don't know if any of the Elvish was...
Don't admit to that. You didn't. You
Translated.
supported the filmmakers.
Oh, all of
I'm
it was
sorry.
translated.
All of it was...
Yeah.
Okay, well,
oh
I
my
didn't,
God.
I didn't know those parts, so...
Oh, oof.
That ruins a lot of it. You
Wait, are
probably
you
would have
serious?
gotten
So you couldn't
background.
understand a single Elvish line that anyone spoke?
No, I didn't, so I was just
Did
kind of
you-
like, oh, this is
That's
pretty,
me
this
watching
is...
the piano. That's literally me watching the pianist
There's
on
so
an
much.
illegal site and not understanding any of the other languages. But
Oh my god.
There's so much
Yeah.
background to characters in it that
Oh,
you wouldn't
dang.
have gotten.
No, but you
wait,
know
are
what?
you
I kinda-
serious? You
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't.
understand
That's
any
crazy.
No.
Because
But
my
the
friend
thing is-
was watching it on a DVD, and for some reason her DVD copy didn't have it translated either, which is weird. So I was reading it out loud to her. Because it was important.
Oh.
Most of the stuff was important in the first one. Well, in the second one, she got her DVD fixed, but
Wait,
yeah,
wait,
it's
wait,
like
wait, wait,
important
wait.
stuff.
So Legolas's and Aragorn's conversation, you didn't
Nothing.
understand what
No.
they were.
Oh God,
way! That is
Darcy!
That scene is so good because it's like
It's so
they don't want the
good.
men around them
Oh
to
my
know
God, I'm getting chills
they're gonna
thinking
die.
about it.
So
Yeah,
he's basically like Legolas is like, dude, we're leading a bunch of old men and kids into battle. How can you like lead them? Like, how can you do
I know.
this?
Yeah,
And then like, of course, Aragorn's like, then I will die with them. And then everyone's
Yeah.
like, what?
yeah. That's why it's so
Oh.
shocking because that. Oh my God, I'm getting chills thinking about that scene. It's so good. It's the best battle in my opinion. I really love it because it feels there's so many stakes. I think it does such a good job at making you feel so concerned because you are seeing those old people and the children and you're like, oh my God, they're all gonna die, and like there's nothing you can do about it.
When Aragorn orders Legolas to shoot the torch Olympic runner guy, was that in Elvish, or did you understand what he was saying there?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Because I love that moment.
will
Like,
say-
Legolas,
I
shoot him
will
down,
say-
Legolas, and then it's like the guy's getting shot and he's still running. Shout out to that orc guy. That's my favorite orc guy, the torch runner, the one who blows himself up to like get them through the wall. That's great.
I will say I kind of liked that I didn't understand what Aragorn and Arwen were saying because it kind of made it more intimate to me. Like it made it like sweeter to me that I didn't know what they were saying.
That's sad that you didn't know what they were saying. There's so
But
much
I
there.
don't feel like
Even when Aragorn and like Arwen were talking, they were talking about like their relationship and like that's
I don't know.
that
I
makes
felt
me
like I
sad.
didn't need it in a way. Like I don't
Oh
know.
my
The
gosh.
acting was enough for me.
Please watch it again. You wouldn't have gotten the chills in that moment. Oh.
No, I think we have to do Lord of the Rings again because I feel like we're kind of having to skip over a lot because of time. We have to move on to
Yeah.
Return of the King right now. But I will say,
Definitely.
Tolkien said he would have written the whole trilogy in Elvish if he could. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
not seeing what they
So
were
you're
saying is kind of...
disrespecting Tolkien by not
I'm not
watching it that way.
disrespecting.
Yeah, you are.
I didn't know. Okay, so
You're saying that you don't think it's that important, but I think it's severely. He wrote it.
I'm not
like,
saying it wasn't
based
important. I'm
off
just
of that.
saying that the acting was good enough for me to still be satisfied with not knowing what they were saying.
Yes, credit. That
I
is
mean,
credit.
true. Whatever.
And I don't think Emma heard my shout out to the torch guy at Helm's Deep though, the orc torch guy who blows himself up to get.
Yeah.
Shout out to
There's
that
a
guy.
lot of. I love the orcs. I'm sorry. I also the.
Parvati made like a
I know, I
confused
saw
face.
that.
They're so ugly.
No, I
I'm
think
sorry.
they're funny. They're funny. They're hilarious. I also love.
I feel like it's a lot
when
of
they
orc racism
not
in
the orcs.
Middle Earth.
There is. I know. I'm very. Come on, guys. But when the people, not the orcs, but when they upgraded to the dragons, every time I watch
yeah,
it, I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, they deserve to win. They have dragons now. Pack up, go home. You're gonna die. That's how I feel. Even in the Return of the King, I'm just like, they have dragons. Come on. I mean, they're
on.
instantly cooler than you, so let them win. Just let them win, okay?
You would
Let 'em
take
win.
the dragons over the eagles?
Yes.
You
I mean, I
would?
love the eagles because, like in The Hobbit, but... I
The
mean,
eagles are coming.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about Return of the King.
Let's talk about
Nick?
Return of the King. Your favorite
intro.
one, JJ.
Which I did
intro.
not expect. I thought it would be my least favorite going in. Cause like...
Really? You thought it was going to be your least favorite?
Cause cause like over the years I'm like, the ending of Return of the King is such a flaw to me. Cause like how it takes like 10 years to end for some reason. But I felt like
I think it's great. I like it.
I think with the Hobbits in particular, it drags for me. But on a rewatch, of course, like now it's my favorite Return of the King's or Lord of the Rings movie. Yeah, I loved it. So, but yeah, just I think Return of the King is like literally nonstop. I think it starts with conflict and just doesn't end.
Agreed.
Even like, cause I always when I was a kid, I always just pictured Minas Tirith to be like the final battle, but it's not. They have like 2 more battles
Yeah,
after this. They have to
they
fight
have
at
a
the Black
lot.
Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Sam needs to rescue Frodo. Samwise Gamgee is
Oh
the
my gosh,
MVP
shout out
of Return
to
of the
the best-
This is
King.
incredible.
He's so amazing. I don't think there's ever been a character as incredible as Sam. He's just, he's who you would want to be your partner in crime.
Exactly.
You need a Sam in your life. I think everyone needs one in their life.
It's big because like in Two Towers, like I didn't really like him obviously because he was so bad to Gollum.
Really?
And Smeagol, and because I liked Gollum and Smeagol at that point, it's like,
Oh,
dude, because
interesting.
like he's the only one who could get them into
I
Mordor.
understand. Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm like, Sam, you gotta trust this guy to get you in. But like when Gollum's like, yeah, I'm gonna ambush these guys with a giant spider, which for a person with like arachnophobia, that's like a horrible, scary sequence to me. But it was so fun to watch because of Sam standing up to this
I know.
spider and like fighting it.
Sam's just great in Return of the King. Even like his funny moments, like potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. I reference that a lot. Whenever I eat potatoes, I go potatoes.
That's so cute.
Because I think of him. I love Sam. But yeah.
It's crazy to
so
me
good.
the number of times that Sam saves Frodo in so many different ways.
Yeah.
The way he likes the
This is always
bread
different.
moment is such a great moment too.
Oh.
Like
I-
with
Who-
Gollum
I
throwing
don't
it
think-
away.
I think that's the first time I felt rage as a child watching that scene because I just was so shocked because I was like, but he didn't do it. And I was like running around my living room like, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Why are you doing this? But yeah, there's so much frustration in that scene. But And Sam, he's just crying, and he's so broken because he can't really prove it, and he's just sad. And at that point, he's kind of just like, do I just give up now? I don't know. And even when he's, like, climbing down the steps, he's, like, just blubbering and just being like, this sucks. This is actually the worst situation, because now I'm gonna have to go back on my own, and this is, ugh.
That scene when they're still going up the stairs / like Sam is like going down the stairs and things, and when you can see like that the necklace has literally burned itself into Frodo and stuff too. At that point, I felt, and like also knowing that they're starving because they don't have their bread anymore too. At that point, I felt their like physical, like the toll of the toll of the whole journey on them physically. Yeah. I felt it so much in that scene, and I just felt so horrible for them. And after all of that, they had to go all the way back too. And I was like, how are they going to do this? Because I feel like if anything, they're going to die on the way back because they don't have any energy left to go. And I thought, like, I think the whole, like, physicality of their journey at that point is what really got to me in the end, where I was like, yeah, they really, like, I really want them to be okay because they've just gone through all of this stuff. And if they're not okay in the end, like, it's going to feel like it was a waste, you know? But they ended up being okay.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
No, yeah, I was just saying, like, that was it was so, like, powerful to me, and I felt so strongly for them.
Return of the King is so good at making you feel the immense weight on all of the characters' shoulders, like, not even just Frodo and Sam. You feel how horrible all of their situations are, because it keeps hitting you, like what you were saying, JJ, conflict after conflict after conflict, and most conflicts are built up on each other as well, and they just get no breaks, and you don't get a break too, so you're just being pelted at constantly, and you're just sitting there like, when are we gonna get like a happy moment? We need it. And I just think that's so cool. I love when I think that's probably why I like Return of the King so much, because it's cool, that realistic getting. I think it's so, I don't know, I think it's probably the best one for all of like the conflicts put together, and I think it's the most interesting one. And when it cuts to the different characters and what they're going through, it doesn't feel very jarring because they all kind of meld together, unlike what you were saying with Two Towers, because I agree, in Two Towers when it jumps to like Merry and Pippin, it brings down the energy a lot. But with Return of the King, you're just constantly amped, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for a happy moment, and you just keep getting... Oh, it was so hurt. It's so much hurt, but it's great. And it feels real, though. When, especially with Sam and Frodo, you see their exhaustion, their hunger, their feelings of just wanting to give up and go home, but also being like, well, I probably won't even make it home, so I'll just die. And it's just depressing, and it's so sad. But then when they finally do, it's even more sad because they think they're gonna die. But still, then they get taken up by the eagles. It just feels like a perfect payoff for the whole journey. It's just the perfect ending, I think. It really is just... That's why I think Lord of the Rings is probably the best trilogy of all time, and even like book to a movie adaptation. I feel like it does it the best.
Ooh, Parvati had a reaction. Do you have a better
No,
trilogy
just because movie? I feel like you said the best trilogy was the Before trilogy, and I don't know if those are the same.
No, but here's the difference. Here's the difference. Before trilogy is like personal favorite. But in like overall,
you think objectively Lord of the Rings is the better trilogy?
Oh, okay.
I do.
Okay.
Like, I think, yeah, objectively it is the best trilogy of all time. And I think it is also the best book to movie adaptation, but I'm pretty sure most people would agree with that. That's not a big hot take. Most people...
I feel like there's like really good book to movie adaptations though. I don't know. That's tough. I think the books have so much.
I don't know.
Even though I haven't read the books. Tolkien's such a genius that it's like really hard to translate everything well. Well, this is like a general discussion.
But I've heard... But, like, I've had really, like, intense Lord of the Rings fans, like, as friends, and they all would 100% say, oh, no, that is the best you could have done with the books. If you didn't want to make it more than 3 movies, which also, I think if they made it more than 3 movies, it wouldn't have worked as well. It would feel more disjointed. I think it's the best that it could have been with what it had, you know? And with book to movie adaptations, you can't put everything in it. That just doesn't work. It doesn't, some things don't translate also to film. And I feel like some scenes that I've heard that are left out from the books, it makes sense why it's not really put in there, or why they didn't choose to film it, because it just would have thrown off the tone of the movie, or the style. I don't know. I think Lord of the Rings just tops all other book to movie adaptations. It's so good. I love it. So good. Some nostalgia right there. Nostalgia watch.
You basically said everything I wanted to say about no, all the plot points are great, compared to Two Towers. I was really invested with everyone. But I want to particularly point out that Merry and Pippin get separated, which is the best thing for me personally, because it's now they can really develop as characters. I think each of them went on a journey that was great for them, and made me like them. And I think it's Pippin. Oh my god, if I get it mixed up, that sucks. But Pippin's song when Faramir charges, when Pippin's the one who gets sent to Minas Tirith, right?
Yeah.
That's such a great scene.
That chills.
With
so
chills,
good.
the song, the slow motion that actually works here.
You're just filled with so much sadness and anger because you're just you're an idiot. You're an actual idiot. When
the way Denethor eats his food.
I love when he dies. That's just a great feeling. It's so good.
Okay, that's if there was
Best
a plot
death.
point, I think Denethor going crazy is my least favorite plot point in
I
Return of the
agree.
King.
I wish he didn't die, personally. I wish he would have just sat and watched what happened so that he saw how horrible he was and how many mistakes he made, and so he could deal with that, but instead he kind of just died.
I mean,
I guess you can
that's
kind of
Faramir's
assume
dad,
that he
right?
realized.
yeah, Denethor.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing it? Who cares? We pronounced.
I don't know. I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I think that's...
Yeah.
But
No, yeah, I was also kind
I
of
think-
upset about his downfall too, because it just felt very self-destructive. He was just trying to find an excuse to end everything. I don't know.
But
It just felt
also,
very-
that's I think it feels real. There's so many, you hear so many stories of, well, especially in, history, corrupt kings and queens
I mean,
and stuff.
Lord
I
of the
think it
Rings is
fits.
all about corruption,
Yeah.
down to the ring. It's power and all that.
I like how he got how corrupted he was, but I wish he would have had a... Wow, that sounds really dark, but a more horrible ending where he doesn't die, but he realizes all that he did.
Yeah.
And not even a redemption, because I don't think... There's some characters where, even in, anything in books, movies, where they don't deserve that redemption, because they don't deserve, the forgiveness sometimes. But I feel like it was kind of just thrown, him, off the wall, off the little ledge.
But that's a great shot when he jumps off.
It is.
On fire.
It's really cool.
But yeah, that is my least
I
favorite
still feel
part, when he goes
satisfied.
crazy after he thinks Faramir died.
Yeah.
It was can I just get back to literally just outside, because Minas Tirith
Yeah.
is so amazing. I know Helm's Deep is the iconic one, and I'm definitely wrong, but I enjoyed Minas Tirith more because that's a whole siege. I think I really felt time passing. They had to hold this city, and
Yeah.
Gandalf is such an MVP here. He basically does what Aragorn was doing at Helm's Deep, leading everyone, even though the circumstances are so against their control.
Yeah.
And also it's Pippin there, right? Pippin saving
Yeah.
Gandalf at one point.
So
Let's go.
good.
That's what I want to see.
And I like how Gandalf acknowledged it. It wasn't one of those moments where they just look at the character like a thing. It was Gandalf actually went, "Oh wow, good job," or something along the lines of that. Where he was like, "You did great," or I can't remember what he said. He said something smart because he's Gandalf, but but still, that's a really cool moment. It also builds the relationships between the characters. I love when Gandalf's hugging Pippin before the battle, because you feel the fear
Yeah.
in Pippin in that moment, it's kind of similar to Helm's Deep, because you're just looking and you're like, this is not going to turn out well because these people aren't prepared. Not in a different way, because the king wasn't prepared, but
Yeah.
well, technically not king, but whatever. Because he was like a placeholder.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I
But,
also just really love like I love how whenever you do see Gandalf like in the battle as well, you just see him on his like it's like Gandalf the White and his big white horse, and he's this like beacon of hope that's like riding around the city trying to like figure out ways to keep the city like holding and just keeping everything together, which I think was just it's like cool, I think visual like iconography just to help you feel more hopeful with what's happening, even though everything's kind of terrible and horrible and you don't know how it's going to end up too. Yeah.
The shot of Gandalf and Pippin arriving at Minas Tirith, where it's just like all these mountains and then it's like one city and it's like
Yeah.
the one horse. It's such a great shot. It shows a sense of scale.
It's really pretty.
And New Zealand scenery can't beat it. Really
God,
good.
Beautiful New Zealand. Whenever
yes.
I watch them, I go, oh, I just want to go to New Zealand.
Go
now.
to New Zealand, yeah. Just
It
walk
just
around.
looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Minas Tirith is like that's like half the movie too. Like
it is. It's a good chunk.
Mm-hmm. And like so much happens
Mm-hmm.
with the. I haven't even mentioned like the charge of Rohan when they all come and then what's his name?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Theoden. Theoden's the king. He's like rallying the troops and he's like hitting their spears with his sword.
Yeah.
I get hyped up. Like
Yeah.
I'm like I'm gonna
I
charge
do
too.
I do too. I really yes. I enjoy
And
that.
even like the orcs like desperately forming ranks. It's great because like, oh, this is your battle tactics. Like, oh, form up, and then like telling them to fire their arrows at will. It's so good. It's great.
I like when they're shooting the like catapults at the orcs and they're just like, stay where you are. It makes me laugh. See, how can you watch that and not kind of giggle? Because all of them are looking at him like, oh, no, I don't want to die, but they have to because he's big and scary. See, that's funny. That to me is hilarious. But also kind of sad.
Yeah, well, there is a sense of humor that still pervades through all the films.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, I can't believe we haven't mentioned the war elephants yet, but
the Oliphants.
The Oliphants.
Okay, I gotta.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was a kid, my favorite scene was
I like
Legolas
them. Oh my god.
taking down the
I thought you were
Oliphant.
gonna say you don't like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like
and
when
okay,
he's like on top and he's just basically just like walking on the actual thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
he
I know.
uses the arrows that people shot into them to climb them. What a badass! That's because Legolas kind of has like that one scene in every movie. You know, it's the sliding down.
No,
the
it's the sliding
stairs
down the
on
stairs.
the shield, and then I can't remember the first one. He has a moment as well where it's like, oh yeah. But this one is definitely the Oliphant scene because that's just so. It's and then Gimli's like that only counts as one.
That's a great moment. That's
Fantastic.
top-notch character moment.
So good, amazing. I love it. I love them. Anyways, but yeah, as a
But
kid,
yeah,
you liked
that
the
was
Oliphant.
no, yeah. As a kid, that was like my favorite. That was like the scene I would always remember. Like if someone told me, "Yeah, Lord of the Rings is epic," I just think of that scene. Like, yeah, it
'Cause
is epic,
It is epic.
and I still love it. It's a
War
great scene.
elephants? How cool is that idea? That is a great concept.
I mean, that is taken from history, though.
Yeah,
Like that's not.
I know.
But they're bigger than normal elephants. That's the thing, which makes
Yeah,
them
they
really
have
cool.
very long legs compared to.
There
regular
is a
elephants.
Wilhelm scream in that moment, but I feel like it works because that moment is so over the
It's
top,
silly,
but in a
yeah.
good way.
Yeah.
Like he uses the weight of them falling off to bring himself back up.
Oh, he's so cool. Wow.
Me and my
Yeah.
sister were joking like Twitter should get mad because Legolas was killing like an elephant, so they should cancel him. from
Dude, the
whole
ghost army
trilogy.
swarmed like so many elephants. Like
The Ghost Army is just like the most overpowered, but in the best way possible. Like when
Aragon
they
let him
charge-
go. They could have used them at the
I
Battle of the Black Gate,
know.
and then the peer
Dang.
pressure of being too good of a
But-
dude.
I mean,
know.
Let
He
him
could
go.
have because they
You
were
can't.
like, we need to be relieved on your account, like on your basis
see,
of like.
Yeah, if Aragorn hadn't let them go, that would also play into like corruption, I feel like. But no, he's not that guy. Aragorn would never.
He's the
wanted
king. He's the return of the king.
to. He is. But like when the ghosts like go into the city and just obliterate everyone, you don't see much of it. They just show that really wide shot of them just going into the city.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so funny. They're so overpowered. But I think that's great because at that point in the movie, you need something to make you
No, it
feel
was
happy
finally like a
because
break
you're just
for our
being hit
heroes.
with so much depression,
Mm-hmm.
and you just need that little ray of sunshine. It's not the end yet, but you need that little glimmer of hope sprinkled in there.
But it's like that's amazing. That's not even the final battle because like you'd expect
know.
something of that size with so many characters to be like the
Yeah.
final resolution, but it's not. There's still
Yeah.
another battle after this.
It's
Which is
I think
insane.
it's only an hour into the film.
Really?
I
I'm
think
pretty
it
sure
goes.
it's
No, I
only
think it goes
an
into
hour.
like 2
Yeah,
hours.
because I
into it.
paused. I don't think so, because I paused it and I got popsicles while I was watching it, and I'm pretty sure it was only an hour in, because my mom was like, "Oh God, this is so depressing. How much more is there?" And I went, "Oh my God, there's still like 2 hours."
But yeah, we can just wrap Return of the King up with like some scenes we want to shout out, and then just our
Oh,
final
but there's
thoughts.
too many.
Okay,
One
you
scene?
only get one more scene to shout out. Sorry, that's
Okay,
it.
I'll start then. Okay, when Sam and Frodo throw the ring into the that's
Damn it!
that's
you
the
stole
best.
my scene.
It's the scene. When you think Lord of the Rings, you think that moment, and it's so good all around because you kind of hope that he'll just like throw it in, but no, that's not how that works. That is not how that works. And Gollum gets a little snack, a little finger snack, and I just think that scene's really, really cool. And you feel so much emotion in that moment. And the actors are, oh my God, their eyes in that scene are incredible. 'Cause you see how much hurt is in Sam's eyes, and he's just like, "We've come this far, you can't. You have to please." And Frodo, there's like a glaze that goes over his eyes, but not actually, but in the acting.
No, but the shot of him
There
holding the like ring necklace
know.
is iconic. That's one of the best shots in the whole trilogy.
It is, and it's so relieving. And I even love when they're lying on before they go into there, where they're talking about like the Shire, and he's like, "I don't remember the grass, I don't remember the water." And then later on, when they're on the rock and the lava, he's like, "I remember." That is just just tears streaming down my face. It's so good. It's the perfect ending. It's the perfect climax to the film. I think it's just so good in every way.
My favorite part of that scene is like when I guess spoilers, but like when
What?
when
We spoiled everything.
No,
So
I don't know. I feel like I was hesitant for this one specifically, but anyways, in the end when when Gollum is like, he's already in the lava and he has like caught the ring in his hand, but the ring nothing's happening to it. And for a second, you're like, wait, why isn't it being destroyed? But then finally, like, whatever's left of his hand, like, melts away, and then it just goes away. That was so satisfying. But I was, like, terrified for a second, because I was like, are you kidding? Is this where, like, what's gonna happen? But
I know, because also, at that point, there's still a lot of movie left, if you look at it. So you kind of, like, you could feel like, oh my God, oh no, they're gonna have to do something else. They've been through so much, you can't do that. But then it's all good. But yeah, it's so good. It's the perfect ending. Honestly, it's so good. Probably top moments in every film ever. So good.
I have a different scene then I have to go with because Emma stole my scene.
it.
I'll go with Rohan calls for aid, or is it Gondor calls for aid, and Rohan will answer. Did I mix it up?
Yeah.
The beacons are lit scene.
oh yeah, I like that.
Where
scene
Gondor calls for aid, and then
That scene is so cool.
seeing
That
the
is a
like
really
the
cool
beacons
scene.
get lit at each individual point, and then Aragorn storming into theater, and he's like, Gondor calls for aid.
My
It's a hype
stepdad-
moment.
It is. My stepdad pointed out, though, in that scene, he was like, man, that would be such a, like, crappy job. You're just sitting at the top of a mountain. You probably have your wife with you, so you could, like, have someone, and you probably have, like, one kid, maybe, and your whole job is to just sit and stare all day.
I think they
night.
rotate out with guys. I think.
I know, but
they probably have
thought that was really funny because it's like, oh god, I would hate that job.
I know, because you see them light up from like the craziest peaks too, so you really don't know where. I think that part was kind of fun because it was like, ooh, where's it gonna pop up next? Kind of.
I know, it was so pretty too.
Yeah.
And that's more New Zealand landscape for you.
Oh.
So.
Yeah,
There
we
you
love
go.
it. We love the New Zealand landscapes. So pretty. It was really, and that scene gets you hyped. Because you know what's coming, and you're like, oh yeah, oh, get in the battle, woo! So exciting. Oh,
Because Theoden was reluctant up to that
yeah.
point to help out,
Yeah.
and that's finally like
Yeah.
it's time, which is great.
I think like after that scene though, the only thing that got me kind of mad was Faramir's dad was like, "Oh, Rohan's not coming," but he's not even the one that summoned them. It was Gandalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
Pippin had to do some secret agent like
Yeah.
climbing up the side of the mountain.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. So
I
I was
love
like,
that.
Can you guys hear that?
No, dude, we were going so well without interruptions.
No.
Yeah. My favorite scene. It's not like an epic scene, but it's like a fun scene. But it's because I love Gimli and Legolas so much. It's the scene where they're both like having a drinking competition with each other. And Gimli's he's just so gone by the end, but Legolas is like, I think I'm starting to feel something after like 8 drinks or something. Oh my god. I just
That's
I
I've
absolutely
seen that
adore
scene so
their
many
like
times.
yeah, I just adore their friendship the whole time. It's just so wonderful. And
I realized
going.
you kind of mentioned it earlier. Well, actually, I guess not. But I kind of want to just throw this in right now. When Arwen and Aragorn meet up again. Sorry, that's one of my favorite. It's my favorite. So beautiful, really pretty. I love her story in it too. Really cool, because she's just like, oh my god, you're just hiding everything from me. Just stop.
It's the classic rebelling from your parents story,
She
essentially.
needed that, and I love her. I love her character, and I love when they reunite because you can see he's kind of like, oh god. I mean, I'm gonna be the king, but you know, it would be a little bit better if I had my elf girlfriend with me, and then she shows up, and he's like, hell yeah, let's go, let's rule, and he's like 10 times more energetic. It's great. You said you didn't like. Most people don't like the ending, how long it is. I think it's fine. I think it is well worth having that long.
Yeah,
ending.
it's like it's it's there. I wouldn't consider it like my favorite part. It's like, oh, it's the Return of the King ending, yay,
Yeah.
But,
I think after all that they went through, to me, I kind of see it as like an empathy way where I'm like, oh no, the characters deserve a 30-minute ending. And so I sit through it because I'm like, they totally deserve that. They've been through so much in this movie. Give me 30 minutes of them just laughing about, just having a good time. I think it's great.
I like that Frodo leaves to go with the elves.
I do too.
It tells
I
like,
don't-
the journey changed him.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
don't think... I find it kind of hard to believe that Sam, Merry, and Pippin could just live a normal life in the Shire after that. Because if it was me, I would also be like Frodo, where I could not return to my normal life after being through so much.
I feel like Merry and Pippin can.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
But
don't
also
think
with-
Sam could, but I feel like he kind of already had an idea of what his life was gonna go about. Like
Yeah, exactly.
afterwards,
I was gonna say
whereas
like
Frodo didn't seem like it.
I know,
And
but even
Sam-
still...
Sam, like, he would always remember the Shire. That's what I think that was his driving motivation, and I think that's why he was so ready to like come back, because he's the one like, do you remember the Shire? Do you remember everything? So I feel like that was always just a part of his character. So I thought it made sense. After like thinking
No,
about it.
I'm not like doubting that it makes sense. Just like, and I think it's great them living their best lives, but I don't know.
I know.
There's always a
Elf,
part
elf
of
heaven
me
is
that-
cool. Like, we all want to go to elf heaven.
Yeah,
Just take
there's
a
always
boat.
a part of me that is just thinking that what if all of them left, not even to just go there, but maybe even to just stay where Aragorn is, you know, because they've seen the world now outside of the Shire. When they want to go outside of it, I
mean, people get homesick. And, like,
Yeah,
that's just
I
what
just-
hobbits are. Like,
I also just
hobbits
feel like-
rarely leave Hobbiton, so...
yeah.
I feel like another thing too is like Merry and Pippin, they have been on this journey for so long too, and like that's like home is kind of all they have known, and after going on this journey too, like they miss each other, and they miss like drinking and just, you know, their lives from before. So
Yeah.
I think it just makes so much more sense to me for them to at least be able to get used to it, and similarly for Sam. But like for Frodo, I feel like he's just gone through so much emotional trauma that he literally can't be settled.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
in one
Frodo
place.
goes through it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like at least with Sam, he has like a family to distract him from all of the stuff that he did go through too. So it makes sense to me, I feel like.
Parv, I think you have Return of the King rated the lowest.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But it's like at 4 stars, chill. Oh my god.
No,
Four
but like...
stars is low. No offense.
not that
but,
low.
Oh, really? I'd have Fellowship at 3.5. Sorry.
Are you kidding me? That's insanely low.
That's a great rating.
I'm offended.
For like, that's a great rating.
No,
3.5. That's a great film.
I disagree with that.
No, but you gave the other ones 5 stars. I know it's like, why are you talking about ratings are arbitrary? But like, Return of the King is obviously your least favorite. So like, why?
I think for me, it's just like it felt the most tiring to watch, and I know a lot of that is like because I felt the pain of the characters, but like also it felt very long, and I would have enjoyed like it to be a little bit shorter.
Okay, so the theatrical
Yeah.
cut, you need to watch that.
Probably, yeah. It felt super long, and I was like waiting for them to just like, I wanted to see the end, and then the end was like 30 minutes long, and I was like, oh, this is the end. No, it's not. This is the end. No, it's not. And it was like, not to say that they all don't deserve their own like bits of the ending too. It just felt like a lot of it was so, I don't know, it just kept going, and I there was a lot of points where I felt like they could have cut down on it a lot too. So I think that was just, for me, the lengthwise, it was very hard. And also, I think by that point, I felt a little less invested just because there was less of like comic relief too. But that doesn't mean that that took away from the story itself too. It probably was just like me having to watch the whole thing was very tiring. But yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. We can do Lord of the Rings again, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there's so much we like didn't talk about, and there's also like the Hobbit trilogy,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. Emma, of course, disregarding the Hobbit trilogy, and which, you know.
Okay, you know, The Hobbit, okay, but the book is so great, and then the movies just completely obliterated it, so that's sad.
I think it's because Peter Jackson
Well,
really
'cause-
leans on the CGI and the
Oh,
pace. He,
agreed.
like, it's like so
It's-
stuffed. The Hobbit
It's
films.
sad how he did such an amazing job with Lord of the Rings from like taking so much from the book and putting in the movies, and he shredded The Hobbit. And it's not even that hard. It's a really short book. It's a really short book, and it's a really easy read too. It's meant to be more childlike. So I just hate how he ruined it, because it's so chill. The Hobbit feels like you're sitting down on like an autumn evening with like the golden rays of sun peeping in through your window, and you have like a cup of tea next to you. But he made it seem so cold and lifeless, and I hate it. But that's for another day.
That's for another episode, possibly. We'll see. Yeah, does anyone else have anything to say about
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings before we like wrap this up?
Uh,
Another long episode, just like the Lord of the Rings films.
Oh my god.
Aragorn is amazing. That's really it.
Parv?
No. I just love them.
I know. I'm really glad that we watched this because
Yay!
it was
I'm so
something I
glad.
didn't know I needed.
It was a little bit of like a daunting watch. I'm sorry about that. But also, I'm glad that you've seen them and that you like them. And now you can rewatch them in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And you can understand jokes and stuff. That's cool.
The pop culture references to Lord
Yes,
of the Rings.
I'm so excited to have new things to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I didn't really mention this with any of the films because it's like more of a book thing, but just Tolkien's like world in general is just so well crafted.
Come on.
And
He's
like,
amazing.
it's funny that like I love how he puts in like Christian allegories,
cool.
like his like religious side of it, because I feel like it's the way it works with like magic in the world and how magic is disappearing and that's why the elves are leaving and like man taking over.
Mhm.
It kind of puts the whole thing in like this history perspective too. It's
Yeah.
like this could have been the origin of Earth itself.
It literally
But-
could be.
But like, yeah, it's just Tolkien's world is so dense,
Mhm.
and I felt like the movies were such an amazing way to translate it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
What a
happy I
guy.
got to
what an
rewatch
amazing,
these.
intelligent person. Good job, Tolkien.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
so yeah, that wraps up Lord of the Rings.
Woo!
Yay.
I'm surprised we did it under 2 hours. We
That-
did it, guys.
Oh,
We did it
Wow.
under the running time for a Lord of the Rings movie, which is cool.
So you can listen to this while you watch Lord of the Rings film, and then just like when it ends, then you can finish the movie.
Woo!
So
Yeah.
there you go. Next week, what are we watching?
Next week, it's my movie
Whoa.
week, so we're gonna see the Grand Budapest Hotel because I fell back in
cool.
love with it recently. So yay!
Okay.
I love it. I
love it. Awesome. We all love. I'm pretty sure we all love Grand Budapest Hotel, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. That's a good.
Okay,
that's a
we're good.
one.
I just really
We're
wanted to
chilling.
talk about it because I just want to talk about everything that's brilliant in it. So
What a beautiful
Yay.
movie. I'm excited. Cool.
I'm excited too. Awesome. Cool. So that wraps it up.
Yeah.
Craig's not here, but we'll say goodbye to him anyway.
Okay.
Craig's
Bye,
going off to
Craig.
Elf Heaven. He's like on the
Craig is
boat.
going off.
Ooh, this is gonna be dead audio. I could put this at the end of the episode. As I've been. Have you guys been
I
listening
have.
to that?
I do. I love. I have asthma.
And I have to like mute you guys, so I have to listen to those parts. So it's like everything's muted and all I hear is.
Sometimes when I'm breathing, it's because I'm laughing, but it sounds like I'm breathing. But it's me.
I
going,
know. Yeah, sometimes like our varieties of like ums, okays, and like like our affirmative words. Sometimes the range of that volume is so varied.
It's like sometimes they're and then sometimes they're yes.
Yeah, exactly.